Welcome, everyone. My name is Joy Warnock. I'm an assistant to our president, Jerry Dias. Before we get going with tonight's program on April 28th, we want to ask you to select your language down at the bottom of your screen. There's an icon on the far right and click on it. 1 for English, 2 for French. So welcome. We're going to start off tonight's program with the acknowledgement of the traditional ancestral indigenous territory and territories on which we are learning, working, and organizing today. Even though we are all in different physical locations today, we recognize the indigenous nations and territories that we're on. A reminder that our anti-harassment policy applies. This event is a harassment-free zone. Today is April 28th, the National Day of Mourning, when we pause to remember workers who were killed or injured at work, or who became sick from exposures to hazardous substances. This day was officially recognized by the federal government in 1991, 8 years after it was initially launched by the labor movement in Canada. The Day of Mourning has since spread to over 100 countries or regions across the world. April 28th is a day to think about what happened and why, to think about how workplace fatalities occur, how they hurt people, their families, their coworkers, and their communities. We must consider ways to ensure they do not happen again. Health and safety are fundamental rights for all workers. Again, welcome everyone. We're going to begin this evening's program with remarks from Sari Saarinen, Unifor Director of Health, Safety, and the Environment. Sari, over to you.
Great, thank you, Joey, and good evening, friends. Good afternoon, wherever you may be in our glorious country. Many of us paused today at 11 a.m. for a moment of silence. These acts of remembrance help to honor the lives lost or injured due to workplace tragedy, while also acknowledging the sacrifices of frontline and essential workers who have died or become ill serving during the COVID-19 pandemic. Our responsibilities to the memory of our members is a great one, which carries with it a higher responsibility to ensure that each of us is committed to a safe, respectful, and harassment-free work environment. We must ensure that workers do not face any compromise of their mental, emotional, or physical safety and well-being. This is the true commemoration of the memory of those who paid with their lives. And now a video message from our national president, Jerry Dias.
Hello to our Unifor family. I'm sorry I can't be with us live right now because of timing, but I'm certainly with each and every one of us as we think about the significance of today. Today, we recognize our 19 members that have lost their lives. We think about their families. We think about their partners. We think about their children. We think about their families that are mourning their losses today. Normally, we talk about occupational injuries, occupational cancers, industrial disease. We talk about how our members have been negatively impacted, who have gone to work and never came home. 12 of our members lost their lives due to occupational hazards. Another 7 members lost their life as a result of COVID-19. Traditionally, on the 28th of April, we'll be talking about health and safety. We'll be talking about safe workplaces. And we'll be talking about how our members must have the right to go to work and come home safely. I think about our members at FFAW that seem to have more fatalities than any other sector in our union. And then, of course, we're dealing with the incredible challenges with COVID-19. I think about our frontline members. I think about our members in healthcare, in the airline sector, in transit, in retail, hospitality. I think about our members in telecommunications, our members that are doing so much for us today. And of course, I think about what we're doing to ensure that our members are safe and that workers right across this country are safe. Our fight for paid sick days. I think about our fight to make sure that our frontline essential workers are moved to the front of the line for vaccinations. So we have so much to do to fight for justice. The pandemic has showed the real inequalities of which we live. And we are determined as an organization to fight and stand for not only our members, but for all Canadians. So at this time, I'm thinking about our 19 members, and I'd like to show this video to pay our respects.
Wow, what an incredible video. Far too many workers have been lost in the past year. It's extremely disappointing that many of those deaths were preventable. If only government had stepped up to help workers faster and with much stronger measures, instead of only fixating on helping businesses. Even today, as many politicians put out nice remarks about the April 28th day of mourning, only Quebec and PEI have tiny amounts of paid sick leave. Most provinces don't have paid vaccination leave, and many workers who can't stay home still can't access vaccines. We'll keep remembering our fallen members and burn with indignation at their unnecessary passing, and we will continue our important and more necessary than ever work to fight for the living. So first we mourn, and then we fight. We have the power to raise the floor and mandate prevention measures. We can help stop this pandemic and keep everyone safer. You know, the saying, if you're sick, stay home, it's not just smart workplace policy, it's also smart public health policy. COVID-19 has elevated the importance of this approach to new levels. Preventing the spread of COVID-19 in workplaces is literally a matter of life and death. The simple and obvious fact is that COVID lockdowns and stay-at-home orders do not work without paid sick leave. We need this tool now to prevent transmissions. And workers in all provinces need paid time off for vaccinations so they can get them as soon as possible and with no loss of pay. And all those frontline workers out there, those who can't stay home, we see you and we know you need to be vaccinated on a priority basis. Refusing to provide or delaying these important changes to help workers, it's clearly what's now driving this pandemic. It's time to take the next step and demand that governments legislate employer-paid sick leave for all workers?
I think each of you can agree that no one truly had a playbook on how to manage a pandemic. It has not just been devastating, but has had the ability to make people feel powerless at times. So I ask you to step closer, away from the 10,000 feet level, look around you and bask in the resilience of people and how we have, in the face of this catastrophe, shown some of the kindest acts of humanity. When you see images on television of illness, also take note of the community of people surrounding that are caregivers and provide support and treatment. We aren't powerless. We have the power to have control over how we take care of one another during this time. It's normal to feel anxiety and stress. It's also very common for people to display great resiliency during times of crisis. And we have, as a union, as members of this community, as people of this great country, we're apart, but we're not alone. We should remember that this is absolutely the time to lean on one another. If we cannot connect physically, we can certainly connect emotionally. So stay in touch with each other and reach out if you need support.
We have the power to have a say in our employers' decisions about our health and safety. It is no surprise that worker occupational health and safety representatives lead to improvements in the conditions of work. Our joint health and safety committee and health and safety representatives raise safety concerns with the employer and give them the opportunity to fix the workplace hazard. The employer has the right to manage, and we have the right to refuse unsafe work or call in a government inspector. The inspector may not rule in our favor, but the employer needs to know that health and safety issues will not be resolved without a fight. The ability of worker occupational health and safety representatives, supported by their local leadership, to formulate and promote action autonomous from the employer is central to the balance of power. We have a lot of work ahead of us as we build back better. Support your health and safety representatives. Review your occupational health and safety collective agreement language. Bargain better language than the legislated minimal standard. And now I'd like to introduce Emil Mezek, who has a song for us.
There was no time to say goodbye. Another year has come and passed. Memories forever last. And yet the pain won't go away. Those wounds are here to stay. And yet the pain won't go away. These wounds are here to stay. The time it goes so fast, the loss so slow to pass. The time it races by, but there was no time to say goodbye. Battles won and battles lost, many paid the bloody cost. Can we forget the price they paid, or will we let their memories fade? Can we forget the price they paid, or will we let their memories fade? The time it goes so fast, the loss so slow to pass. The time it races by, but there was no time was no time to say goodbye.
Thank you, brother, for writing and performing that wonderful song in honor of our sisters and brothers lost this year. Good evening, friends. Our heartfelt condolences are extended to the families, loved ones, and communities of our 19 members lost in the last year. You are not alone. We stand with you today and tomorrow and the day after that. We all pause on April 28th to reflect and renew our commitment to safety as we remember all workers killed or injured because of their work. This year is especially poignant as we pay tribute to our essential and frontline workers who sacrificed their health and in some cases, even their lives as they served during this pandemic. We all depended on them and they deserve decent and safe work. Nearly 1,500 Unifor members that we know of have been infected with this virus. All of our sectors have been impacted, especially our healthcare workers. We don't know yet the full extent of the health impacts that this virus will have on all of us, except that there are many Canadians with long COVID who are still struggling. Their well-being is important and our support is vital to their road to recovery. Building back better will take all of us. We need employers, governments, regulators, along with workers' compensation boards to do better, to ensure the safety and well-being of our members and communities. And it will be up to us to organize, to force employers and governments to respond the way we need them to. Nothing will change if we don't organize for it. We walk today, even in the dark times that we are having, with hope in our hearts and with the knowledge that it is our union and our solidarity that gives us strength. The path to success in the fight against workplace fatalities and injury is no mystery. Unifor has and continues to diligently work to gain many health and safety protections for workers through legislation and of course, collective bargaining. Our locals, all of you, continue to address hazardous working conditions through joint health and safety committees and the collective bargaining process. You have made significant improvements in individual workplaces all across this country. Thank you all for your vigilance. Having a democratic voice, a union at work, makes a huge difference. We all know this. We also support the work of Threads of Life, an organization that assists families who have been impacted by a workplace fatality or life-altering injury. Let us collectively ensure that this year's Day of Mourning sends a strong message to all governments of their obligation and responsibility to enforce health and safety laws and regulations, to put the health and safety of workers first. We are doing the best we can with the tools we have, but we need more support. We demand more support. Priority vaccinations for essential workers, paid time off for vaccines, and paid sick days. We can build a better and safer world for all workers through our collective actions. And of course, when we organize for the kind of world that we all know is possible. Remember, it is our union that gives us the power to demand better. Thank you all for being that union. I would like to also tonight thank our interpreters and the special thanks to the entire team who pulled this memorial together. And to all of you who've joined us, please stay safe and take good care of yourselves and your loved ones. All our solidarity.
Thank you, Lana. And thank you, all of you, for joining us for this day of mourning commemoration. This now concludes our event. Stay safe, stay well.